Hello everybody, this is Monty with Flowers by the Bunch. I hope you are having a wonderful day. Bring me the polka dot, please.
Okay.
Today I am going to put together one of our website arrangements. I believe this one's called, is it Sunflower Romance? And so I thought I would do that here with you. I am starting out with a glass vase. I have filled it with fresh water and added a little bit of fresh flower food to the water. I'm going to take leather leaf. Thank you, Owen. I'm going to take a little bit of leather leaf. I'm going to use my floral knife and cut that stem at an angle and drop that right down into that water. And I am going to go all the way around in this container. Now what this leather leaf does is it really gives me just a base for my flowers. It helps my flowers to stay in place, and it gives us kind of a grid, kind of holds those flowers together. All right, next what I'm going to do, I'm going to set that greenery to the side. Next what I'm going to do is come in with a couple of blue delphinium. So our picture of this arrangement actually has some green bells of Ireland, but recently we've had a really hard time getting bells of Ireland. I want to say that the weather, it's really wet where they grow, and so they're having a hard time keeping it from coming back. It's almost moldy. It's just hard to, if the weather isn't just right, it's hard to get it to grow. I'm going to take this blue delphinium and I'm going to use it as its lines. I'm going to take my floral knife, cut that stem at an angle and tuck it right down into that vase. And I actually have 4 pieces of this delphinium. So I'm starting out with one in the center, kind of up tall. And then I cut the second stem and put it at an angle. The third stem is the same, kind of putting it at an angle here. And then our 4th stem, we're gonna tuck there kind of in the front. So we have 4 stems of blue delphinium. Next we will come in with our white hydrangeas. So I'm going to take my hydrangea, I'm going to pull that the little sleeve off. In our cooler we like to leave the sleeves on. Now that it's completely up to you as to whether you want to leave the sleeves on the hydrangeas in the cooler. We find that if we leave the sleeves on in the cooler, if in case the flower or the sleeve touches the side of the cooler is cooler, it's colder on the side of the cooler because it's a metal cooler than it is in the room itself. And so sometimes if a flower touches the side, the wall, it will blister a little bit. And so this plastic sleeve just saves the flower. I'm going to take this stem, I'm going to cut it at an angle, and then I'm going to dip it in a solution called Quick Dip. Now what Quick Dip does is it just gives that hydrangea an extra boost of hydration. It just makes it take up that water quicker, and so that's a wonderful thing. So we use a lot of Quick Dip on hydrangeas. I'm going to pull that sleeve off. Now I am removing all of the foliage here, and it's because when this flower goes to drink the water goes directly to the head of the flower instead of to the foliage and then the flower. And so it kind of bypasses that foliage if you pull that foliage off. I'm going to take this stem, I think I want it kind of higher in the back of this arrangement. So I'm going to turn that around. I'm going to put it a little higher, like right here in this arrangement. So when I hold this flower up, I know I don't want to cut too much of the stem off. So very little of the stem, I'm going to cut at an angle. I'm going to dip it in my Quick Dip and count to about 7. And I'm going to tuck it right into my vase. Now it didn't get too much higher, but it's just slightly higher than my front flower, okay? Next I'm going to come in with a little Solidago. This is just going to fill in some of this open space. So I'm going to take my floral knife, cut that stem at an angle, and tuck in some of this Solidago. Now Solidago is my favorite filler flower. It is in the aster family. It's going to remind you a lot of goldenrod, but it is not exactly goldenrod. It does not put off any of the pollen, and so you should not have any problems with it. But I love Solidago because I love the yellow. So I've got my Solidago tucked in. So there's our Solidago, and you can see it's kind of pretty on both sides. All right, next we are going to come in with some pretty orange spray roses. So all of these flowers are in the picture on our website, and so we're just trying to make this arrangement look as much like the picture as possible. I'm going to take my floral knife, I'm going to cut that stem at an angle, and I'm going to tuck that pretty orange spray rose right in. Tuck one back here in the back. All right, so there are our, if I can get you in, go in, friend, our orange spray roses there. Okay, next we are going to come in with our pretty yellow, no, they're not yellow, they're white, our pretty white stem of lilies. Now this is called an Oriental lily. So an Oriental lily is a larger headed lily. There are two types of lilies, Orientals and Asiatics, and so this is an Oriental. Now this one's broken here, so I'm going to pull him right off, and I'll show you how we'll put him in the arrangement. I'm going to remove a little bit of this foliage. You don't have to remove the foliage. I just think it kind of takes away from my flower, so I removed it just a little bit. Now I'm going to put this lily kind of high in my arrangement, right there in the front. I'm cutting that stem at an angle. I'm just going to tuck him right there in the front of that arrangement. I'm going to take the stem that was broken. I'm going to cut that at an angle. And I am going to tuck him kind of deep down in the water right there. Okay, next we're going to come in with our sunflowers, because of course this arrangement is called Sunflower Romance, and so these are the most important flowers in the whole arrangement, right? If we don't have the sunflower, it's named wrong. So I'm going to take my sunflowers, and we are going to, what we're going to do is we are going to stair step them in the front of this arrangement. So I'm going to put one here, kind of in here, and then one a little lower. So it's just going to stair step right down. I'm going to start out with my highest. So you can see when I stand that sunflower on that table, you see where its height is. Well, I need it to come down. I'm thinking right about here, okay? So I need to cut about that much stem off, about 2.5 or 3 inches. And it's always better to cut too little off. You can always cut more, but you can't add back onto the stem. So cut just a little, and I got it just right. So I'm going to tuck him here. He's right there in our focal area. Now my next sunflower is going to go right below him, just right there. So I'm going to take him, and I'm looking kind of where the stem falls, where I want him. I'm going to cut that at an angle, and I am just going to tuck him right there below the top flower. Now this one's a little more open, so he's going to be more my focal, just right there in the front, I think. Where are we going to put you? Actually, I'm going to put him over here to the other side of the lily, okay? So I'm going to cut it at an angle, and I am just going to tuck him right into that water. So there we have it. There are our 3 sunflowers. Next we're going to come in with some Queen Anne's lace. Now I love Queen Anne's lace because it's so summery and so delicate and pretty. We've got a little bit of an open space. It's a lot of greenery right here. So we're going to add a Queen Anne's lace here and kind of over here in this empty spot. So I'm just going to take my Queen Anne's lace. I'm going to cut that flower at an angle. And I'm gonna tuck him right there in that empty spot. So see how that just kind of fills up that spot? I'm going to add another one kind of up high right up here. So I kind of see where it will go, and just add that right in, just like that. And then there's another empty spot right over here. You can see where that's kind of an empty spot. I'm going to cut that stem at an angle. Tuck him right in. Now it seems like we need one more, and I think we're going to kind of fill in right there. It's kind of an open, I don't know, it's kind of dark right here, so I'm going to tuck him deep right there. So always kind of turn and look at your arrangement, see where it might need something extra before you put the last flower in, right? Okay, so that filled in that empty hole. Next what, I have a little bit of foliage. So we've got some pretty foliage here. I do not know the variety of this foliage. I don't know the name of it. It reminds me a little bit of a boxwood, but I'm not exactly sure what the name of this variety is. I have to look it up. But I'm just taking my greenery, cutting it at an angle, and just filling in the spots with that little bit of greenery. Okay, and then here is a little bit of pretty eucalyptus, and we're going to tuck it here to give us just a little bit of whimsy. Okay, I don't know if you can see it from the camera view, but I've gotten a few blooms right down in this arrangement. I'm going to lift those stems out of that water. Now I'm going to remove these blooms out of this water and any foliage that might have fallen below that water line. Now the reason you do this is because it's going to help keep the bacteria down from growing too much. I have a couple more stems of greenery, so I'm going to go ahead and cut those and tuck those in. And then last, what we're going to do is add a fun little bow, okay? Now the reason we're going to add a bow to this pretty arrangement is because my picture had a bow. It is not necessary that you add a bow to it, but again, the only reason I'm choosing to do that is because my picture showed a bow. So I'm going to add a yellow and white polka dotted bow, and it's just going to be a pretty simply tied bow. Okay, I'm going to take my ribbon and I'm going to make a loop. I'm going to do a twist and turn those polka dots toward me. Make a loop, a twist, a loop, a twist, a loop, a twist, and a loop. There's my little bow. I'm going to take a little piece of wire. I'm going to lay it right in the center. I'm going to twist. So there's my little bow right there. I'm going to add it to a wood pick. And there you have it. There is our sunflower romance. Guys, thank you so much for being here with me today. If you have any questions about what we do here at our flower shop or how we make flower arrangements, please don't hesitate to ask. We would love to answer any questions you might have. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon, and we will see you here again soon. Thanks, guys.